Hey everyone, Tyler here at The Movie Beat, back with another video update. Today I'm happy to be sharing with you guys some thoughts. I wanted to discuss an interesting film that I think you guys might find if you are looking for new experiences when it comes to Korean cinema, and just really kind of want to explore the Korean cinema landscape a little bit. So it's an earlier film from 2005. It's an action, drama, romance piece of art called Duelist. So this one starred Kang Dong-won, Ha Ji-won, and An Sung-gi, and it was directed by a very interesting filmmaker named Lee Myung-se. So if you haven't heard of this name, maybe you'll know some of his other works like Nowhere to Hide, this one Duelist, as well as another film called M. So I think this one is one of his most well-known works outside of Nowhere to Hide, but I just want to start by giving you guys some thoughts on this filmmaker going into a movie like this. Every time I watch this filmmaker's movies, I'm always left with like a sense of confusion after I'm done watching it. I don't really know how to interpret what I just saw. On one hand, I'm like head over heels with the visual style, a lot of the unconventional editing techniques. I'm just like, I'm seeing something so like fresh and new here, but as I'm watching it, I'm not always necessarily enjoying the experience, because sometimes I feel like his movies have parts in it that feel unnecessary, maybe repetitive, or it just kind of drags, and I'm like, what is the point here? But if you're like me and you like to reflect on even a bad experience with movies, sometimes, it's rare, but sometimes you can actually find the diamond in the rough. You kind of rub off some of that stuff that you didn't like, and you find something really amazing underneath. And I do think you can get that with this director's movies if you want to give it that extra work, because this director, Lee Myung-se, he's often described as an impressionist filmmaker, so he doesn't really follow a lot of rules that you might think exist, or they actually do exist when it comes to filmmaking in terms of camera movement, editing, even just storytelling. So this director very much emphasizes visuals over anything to convey his story, and it's not always very clear, so a lot of it is open to interpretation. It feels very freeform, almost like a poet or a painter would, have sometimes take liberal use with their words or the tools that they use to paint, the brushstrokes, what have you. I feel like this director uses all of the tools available, all of the components that are involved in the film medium, such as lighting, editing, camera movement, costume design, sound, and even the performance from his actors to tell his story and really paint a cinematic mural. So there's something very liberating about his style and his approach to his films. It's pure, it almost feels childlike to me when a child is playing with their toys, not necessarily following rules. The story is in their mind and they don't feel constricted in any way. But don't get me wrong, I do feel like this filmmaker is a master craftsman who knows what he's doing. And a lot of the potentially jarring nature that you're gonna get when watching a movie like this, I do think is intended, because if you're like me and you watch a lot of movies, sometimes there's just an experience that we expect. And when things don't go that way, I think it's natural to get defensive or to say that something is bad or it's not good. And I think that's just kind of a part of human nature, and at least that's something that I've noticed in myself. Again, this is kind of one that I've reflected on and looked back and found some very interesting things. So I want to share with you guys those thoughts if you guys are going to watch this movie, The Duelist. Hopefully this video can help. So like this filmmaker, I'm going to try to keep this one more visual. So I'm going to try to use a lot of clips from this film. It is a beautifully shot movie. So that'll be better than looking at my face. I'm going to use a lot of those clips, and I want to share with you those thoughts now. So here we go. This is Duelist from 2005. Duelist takes everything one might expect out of a period piece or a swordplay drama and action movie and flips it on its head. It seems to very well be a dualistic film about dualism. And with so many dualities present within this film, it may be tempting to brush it aside as pretentious or contrived, but after some careful thought, I do believe that one can find an appreciable level of storytelling genius at work. There's not only a good and evil or a visual light and dark aspect to this film, but the characters and their very nature are also represented as being dual-natured, like flip sides of a coin. So the lead detective in this one, Detective An, played by veteran actor An Sung-gi, finds himself playing a sort of buffoon detective, spending more time drinking at the pub or making crude sexual jokes, and peeing his pants when he's startled instead of the more traditional, hard-nosed approach that might follow the clues in solving a case. Yet he still bumbles through the investigation with the assistance of his adopted daughter and protege Nam-soon, played by Ha Ji-won, whose determination to reveal the identity of a mysterious swordsman who she's fallen for actually allows him to make inroads in the counterfeit money investigation that kickstarts this whole film. Basically, the only impetus for storytelling in this film is that there is a underground counterfeit money ring that is just putting the whole city, the whole nation state in turmoil because these crazy levels of inflation that are coming up with all of this extra coin in circulation. And so Ha Ji-won playing the character Nam-soon, the young detective, with her adopted father, Detective An, they are going to crack this case and find out who was at work. But a mysterious swordsman wearing a mask with his long black hair shows up out of the blue, and almost love at first sight, Nam-soon wants to know, who is this guy? That's basically our story here. The character of Nam-soon, played by Ha Ji-won, is another beast in of itself. I can almost guarantee you that you haven't seen a character quite like this before. Lots of these old-style action fantasies often feature female warriors disguised as men to blend in and not seem out of place. But her character Nam-soon flips all gender expectations on its head. This is not your normal girl falls for boy story. It is something like you've never seen before. So Nam-soon not only has a mixture of love and curiosity at her first glance of this mysterious swordsman, but soon after, almost as if she was juiced with testosterone, she rampages uncontrollably after this alluring and elusive mysterious swordsman with no name. She's almost literally driven out of her mind on several occasions as she gets lost in her dagger-wielding bouts of affection. She completely goes overboard and overacts this part, and I do think it was an intentional decision. I just don't know if that's something that a lot of people are going to be very receptive to. It was very difficult for me, her acting style in this one. On the other hand, we have the mysterious swordsman and assassin, only credited as Sad Eyes, and is never able to give his name, despite coming very close on several occasions. He plays the complete reversal of Ha Ji-won's character Nam-soon. Sad Eyes is not your typical hardened or black-hearted assassin. Instead, he's a refined and graceful swordsman whose elegant movements and effeminate cat-like features have an alluring effect on Nam-soon. He plays hard to get and teases Nam-soon through her rigorous attempts at subduing him. Kang Dong-won, he says so much with just his face in this one, and I do think it's an extremely subtle performance, which is another duality that I feel like this film wanted to present, because Ha Ji-won is all over the place, screaming at the top of her lungs almost in every scene, just random outbursts. Kang Dong-won, the mysterious Sad Eyes, on the other hand, calm, cool, collected, focused throughout the whole thing. It was just such a weird contrast, especially kind of with that reversal of gender roles. It was so weird because Kang Dong-won, he's like the male assassin, yet he's giving off more of those feminine vibes. They engage in a swordplay that might better be described as foreplay in various dances of seduction led by Sad Eyes that lures Nam-soon into his dark and forbidden world. But their courtship would be short-lived, as Sad Eyes is being used as a tool by his adopted father, the Minister of Defense, played by Young-chang, to create a stink with the counterfeit money operation in hopes of displacing the current young king with a more favorable relative. This might be more of your typical inner palace politics, but this contrast between the two parent-child relationships becomes increasingly stark at this point, almost Shakespearean in nature, like House Montague and House Capulet in Romeo and Juliet. With the defense minister and Sad Eyes' noble household being more refined and of upper class, They've become blanketed in a darkness with their corrupt motives and shady dealings that have put the land in turmoil. They speak in formalities with one another and are robed in the finest of cloths. The rival house being Detective Nam and Namsoon, his adopted daughter, blue-collar townsfolk who really cherish a hot meal when possible. Namsoon never uses formal speech when speaking to her father figure, who has a strong sense of justice and only wants what's best for his child. Both families struggle with the occasional infighting and loyalty tests in their own ways that manifests with both the son and daughter's dilemma. Namsoon cannot lock up Sad Eyes as the wanted man he is, and Sad Eyes cannot eliminate the police threat to his father's plans due to his love for Namsoon. On opposing sides of the law, the young star-crossed lovers face unbearable odds in seeing their love through, and their only hope of survival is to somehow find a way to work together. With all the political power of the kingdom in one corner and the strong arm of law enforcement in the other, the two sides will meet to reach a boiling point as their love for each other spills over. Unfortunately, Namsoon never gets to learn the true name of the character Sad Eyes, since the couple's short-lived love is cut short. It's also quite possible that Sad Eyes himself doesn't remember his own name after being lost down a path so dark and narrow for so long, being led astray by his adopted father. Instead, their time together becomes something like a faded dream, and the hope for a love so true will live on to be realized another day. So you guys are gonna have to decide, is it worth kind of breaking down and seeing all of these different dualities that are present in Duelist to find some appreciation, some value in it? To me, this very much felt like a living, breathing, artistic poem in a lot of ways. One of the characters in this film describes basically the whole movie as a story that he's recounting from when he was drunk, and describes the swordplay as making love under the moonlight. And it is basically a physical action representation of that. I mean, you've got some very interesting choices of music, whether it's like a tango number, there's some classic Western type music, there's like rock, electric guitars and other scenes. So it's kind of just like all over the place, and it's a very unique experience. And it's one that I hope that more people will be able to have as they're exploring Korean cinema. And it is kind of, one that we got to go back quite a few years for, so it's something that might be difficult to find. And that's one of my goals for this channel is to bring some exposure to films that I think deserve exposure. And I don't think films like this should be hard to find in 2021. So I think we're at a stage where these films should be able to be seen. Even if we have to, of course, reward the filmmakers for it, and pay for it, but give us at least a way. Like, that's what I'm asking, or I think what a lot of us are asking. So I hope you guys enjoyed these thoughts on the Duelist. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this movie could be so different for so many different people. I think you could love it, I think you could hate it, which is kind of proven true over the years for this movie. So again, thanks for everything, you guys. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Tyler here at The Movie Beat. Keep watching movies.